Well, friends, here's a quick guide to how to do some of the graphing. I know some of you sent me an email saying you're having a hard time with the catnip graph. So we'll give dogs some fair play here. So in this storyline, researchers want to see what effect the percent of turkey in dog food has on how much they sleep. With the idea, theoretically, that there's tryptophan in turkey, which makes people sleepy after they eat a big turkey dinner, but I think it's a bit of a wives' tale. But let's play along with this. So the first question always is going to be, what is independent variable, which goes on the x-axis, and what's the dependent variable that goes on the y-axis? And independent variable is a variable that the researcher kind of manipulates to know beforehand. And so in this case, it's the turkey in the dog food. So there's 0%, 10, 15, they know that. But what they don't know, what they're collecting, the dependent variable on the y-axis, is how many minutes of sleep. So when you do a graph on a spreadsheet, whether it be Excel or Google here, you highlight the area you want, and whatever's on the top row ends up on the x-axis, or independent variables, with the way it's set up here. If it was flipped, you'd have to flip it. So what I'm going to do is highlight the areas I want, which is the 0, 35, and down to 40, 75. And I'm going to insert a chart. And there's two ways you can get to it. You can go Insert, and there's a chart right there. Or if your page is open wide enough, you'll see it up here. But if not, under More, you'll see the same little logo for Chart. So I'm going to hit Insert Chart. And it brings up a window. What we want is a line graph. So I'm going to go to the different types of charts. And the very top one's a line graph. Either of these is fine. I generally pick the smooth. And that doesn't quite like what we want, because we want to have a line, if you think about it, where at 0 it went up. If you look at the data, it went up and went up. And that's not quite it. So you go back to the start, and you have to switch rows and columns, and also use 5 as labels. But then it looks exactly like what we'd expect. That if you went back to the data, at 0% turkey, it was 35 minutes. At 15% or whatever I put in there, it was up to, or 10, it was up to 40. At 20, it was at 75, and so it just kind of stayed up there. So that's a pretty good chart right there. If I was to insert it, there's my graph, and it does kind of mimic the data, hopefully, which again, at 0, it's 35, and it levels off 75, 75, and there's 40, so that works. But of course, there's some things that need to be done here. They need to be labeled, etc. And so if you triangle there, go back to Advanced Edit, now you can put in chart titles. So for example, turkey, gobble, gobble, gobble on whatever. And I'm not going to fill it in, but you can figure that out. And if we go down a little bit farther, a little faster, go down a little farther, horizontal axis and vertical axis, we can label those also. So the horizontal axis would be percent turkey. And sure enough, I do that, it could be percent turkey and dog food. And then we switch it to the left vertical, and this would then be minutes of sleep. That's right, MIN, you get the idea. So that would be a pretty good graph right there. We'd have a better label than that. The axes are labeled with units. I didn't put that in there, but you'd finish it. So hopefully that will help a bit.